Welcome to the Badass Direct Sales Mastery Podcast with your direct sales dom, Jennie Bellinger. Badass Direct Sales Mastery is a podcast for rock star direct sales moms who are determined to make their business kick ass. Jennie will share her knowledge of effective sales and recruiting techniques, tips to get what you want from your business, and will interview direct sales professionals and leaders from various companies. The interviews will give insight to how these rock stars got to where they are and where they plan to grow in the future. And now, the direct sales dom, Jennie Bellinger.
Welcome back to another episode of Badass Direct Sales Mastery. I'm your host, your direct sales dom, Jennie Bellinger, helping you whip your business into shape. And today I have with me Tammy Hudgin. Now, Tammy and I met networking out virtually, and when she mentioned what she did, I said, girl, you got to get on my show because this is one of the biggest questions I get from my coaching clients and from people on social media, which is, how do I get Facebook to work for me? So Tammy has been using Facebook for the past 17 years to build her own business, as well as other small business owners through coaching, teaching, workshops, and managing other small business owners' social media. Throughout these 17 years, Tammy has been nominated for a variety of business awards. She's co-published 2 books. She does regular appearances on Rogers TV to provide Facebook tips. Now, Rogers TV, for those of you who don't know, is a Canadian channel event. So just FYI, for all you Americans who are like, wait, what? So she regularly goes on TV to provide Facebook tips. She's worked with government organizations to teach their audiences and was a leader in a variety of networking organizations and has created a network of over 5,000 people who are tied to business, allowing her to have a referral-based business, which I think is the coolest thing ever. Tammy, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so excited. Thanks for having me. I love stuff like this. It's so cool.
I am so glad to have you here because as I mentioned in the introduction, when you and I met and you mentioned that you are in the social media world, I went, oh my gosh, please come on my show.
Yeah.
It's a huge question in this world. So let's go back to the beginning. How did you end up getting your business on Facebook?
Yeah. So I was actually in direct sales. I had started in direct sales, and it was my second company at that time when Facebook launched. And I was so new, to be honest with you, with the whole industry. But I was sitting on Facebook and I'm like, how can I meet people on Facebook? Right? This is a new world that's opening up. What can I do to meet people? This was way back when it first launched. So I didn't use it for what it was meant for back then. But through some trial and error and going into Facebook jail, I probably was the first person that went into it because that was like almost 17 years ago. I went into Facebook jail. Really funny.
But I didn't even know they had Facebook jail back then.
Because they considered me a spammer back then. And I was trying to promote a group to get other business owners into the group. And at that time, there was no business pages. They were just city pages, like fan pages. So I was posting on all the city pages, City of Toronto, City of wherever, and saying, come join my business group. I've got all these, business owners. And all of a sudden this thing came up on my screen and Facebook's like, you're a spammer, we blocked you and all this. So it was funny actually, but it was my first lesson into using Facebook. But through the growth of building that direct sales business, and it was jewelry, just so you get an idea, through that process of using Facebook to meet people, that was the key. I needed to meet people I didn't know. And so I started to work with what features Facebook had available. And it led me to a teaching business of teaching people how to use Facebook. It was really weird. It was only a couple of years in. Other business owners were mostly direct sales was saying, can you teach me what you're doing? So I launched a training business called I Was an FB Nobody, because I couldn't use the word Facebook. So I was an FB Nobody. Anyways, and I traveled around Ontario and teaching small business owners in large settings, actually. And that ultimately led into social media management, coaching, all of it. It just kept rolling and rolling. And ultimately I got out of direct sales, for many different reasons, but it led me to having a very successful business. Even though I say I'm social media, my forte is Facebook. They've nicknamed me the Facebook queen because I tend to teach people how to use Facebook very differently than what you would learn from other social media. I don't know. I want you to get in there, get your hands dirty and do some strategic work that will really, understand the platform. When you know how the platform works and you understand the value of each key element, like I'll call it a personal timeline, which should be flipped over to a professional page if you have not done that. Your timeline, your business page, and your groups. Those are like three main functions of Facebook. So how do I use them to my best advantage? What am I looking for in each one of these elements? What, daily tasks do I have to do in each one of these functions? And if you put the work into it and take advantage of what Facebook's provided, you can truly build this very successful business on Facebook, so that's kind of how I got to where I am today.
Gotcha.
In a nutshell.
Gotcha. No, and that's good to know because, there are a lot of people who come into direct sales and network marketing nowadays, and they maybe have been using Facebook to, just keep in touch with close family and friends. And so the idea of using it as a business is somewhat new and scary, possibly for some people, depending on their experience and what they've been doing with it. How they've been using Facebook up until this point in time, right? So you already kind of hinted at this. One of the first things that people can do if they haven't done so already is make sure that their personal profile is switched over to a professional profile.
Page.
Right?
They call it a professional page.
Okay.
So, and it's the professional word that distinguishes it, that it's not a business page.
Right.
So, and you do this very simply, very simply. You go to your personal timeline, just under your cover photo to the right, you'll see three dots. When you click on the three dots, you'll see towards the bottom, it's like second or third from the bottom, it should say turn on professional mode. Now, why I said it should say that is not everybody will get that option to use it.
Oh, wow.
There is some certain criteria, so you may not see it there. So, for example, yes, if you've only been using your Facebook just for a personal element and just keeping it to friends and family, odds are you won't have the option because you really haven't embraced the professional side of Facebook. So don't panic if you don't have the feature. It will come at some point, but majority of people will have it. Why you want to flip over to a professional page, it's identical to your personal timeline. So visually, nobody's going to know the difference. So your friends won't have a clue that you've even flipped your page. But what it allows us to do, the biggest thing for me, is it gives us insights, just like our business pages do. And when you start, and you guys, what you're going to notice is that your numbers, how many people you're reaching, is so much bigger than what you're doing on a business page, which will then get us to change our mindset on how we're using that professional or personal timeline.
Yeah.
So having insights is a key element. They provide that to you. You can now go beyond 5,000 friends. So with a personal timeline, you can only have 5,000 friends. If you flip into this mode, you can go beyond that because now you can have followers. So you have a combination of both, and there's no limit on followers. So if you're out there and you are building, because I've been building for 17 years, that I need the followers now because I'm reached not that I'm at the 5,000, I think I'm at like 4,700 or something. So that was a key element.
I hit 5,000 a couple of weeks ago. And so I've been pulling through my list using a particular method. We'll talk about that in a minute, just to make sure that I've got really engaged people. Because if I'm not seeing people like comment on my stuff or interacting with me, and if, I want to have an interactive page, not a bunch of skulkers.
Agreed, right?
Hiding in the shadows, watching my stuff. Like, hello, like get out there and take action. If you're not taking action, you're not my peeps. Peace out, yo. So if anybody's listening right now, you're like, oh, I'm one of those people who hasn't commented on Jennie's stuff. At least say hi, y'all.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to share a really cool tip. And
Okay.
if they truly want to take advantage, then they're going to target you. So you should see some
Ooh,
engagement jump up if your listeners take advantage of the tip that I'm going to provide in a few minutes.
very cool. Well, I can't wait to hear it. So
Yeah.
so
But
there
yeah.
is a 5,000 friend limit, but
Yeah.
you can
But you
have
can go
unlimited followers.
exactly. And
Awesome.
followers can be a combination of friends and followers
Mhm.
because someone can be your friend and follow you at the same time. So just to keep that in mind. The other thing you can boost. So, like when I do my workshops, I might want to boost off my business page, but I might also want to boost off my personal because
Yeah.
then I can hit my friends, I can hit my followers off of there, which may not be following me on my business page. So now I can invest $20 on that. And oh my God, I love this. I wish I had it. But some of us will be lucky enough that you can pre-schedule your post then on that. You got that, Jenny?
I did, but I can only do it
Oh,
on my phone.
yes,
I can't pre-schedule posts on the
on the
computer
desktop,
unless I
yes.
go into the Meta
Meta
Business
Business
Suite.
Suite.
But it's like
Yeah,
really confusing and kind of
yeah.
hard to use the Meta Business Suite. So if I know I want to pre-schedule something, I do it from my phone app.
Yeah, I can do it from the phone app, and yet I hate using the phone app. So,
Oh,
yeah, so I'm anxiously waiting for it to come to the desktop version because when I go into Meta Business Suite, I don't have the option. So it's unfortunate,
oh,
but that's an added bonus. So those are just some of the key things about flipping into that professional page.
yeah.
Now, now I'm gonna lead into a really cool tip, but why I mentioned insights. So it gives you stats on how your posts are doing based on the engagement. Okay.
Well,
So I'm going to give you two things that you're going to do that help you strategically, making sure that your content is being seen by the right people. So these insights are important. So if I know, okay, I'm going to pick Tupperware. I'm going to use them as an example. So we have Christmas coming up, the holiday season's coming. And if I know that, they're going to do, hostesses are going to get, an extra 50% hostess bonus, let's say in free product. So in my head, because you should be planning how you're going to get that information out there. You should come up with a plan. It's not just going woo and put a post out.
right.
No, because that's not going to do it for you. So it's actually pre-planning. So today's Monday. If I know that Friday I am going to do a post announcing that this 50% is happening, I want to make sure that the people on my friends list who I think are potential hostesses are going to see that post. There's no guarantee they're going to see that post. And at this point in the game, you have no idea if they're going to see that post. So this is what you're going to do. So the first part of why insights are important. We all know that when we put out funny content, when we put out content with pictures of ourselves, even quotes, they tend to get the most engagement. That's where people are
Yep.
commenting and doing that, right?
Mhm.
Okay, so in my head, I'm going, okay, so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, what type of content am I going to put out on my timeline? This, we're talking on our personal, that is going to generate engagement because I need to get the algorithms working for me. And the only way algorithms work is if you have engagement.
Mhm.
Engagement represents a reaction, so a like, a love, a comment, or a share. Okay. So if I go and put up a funny post, which, and I do this often. So if you're on my friends list, now you're going to know why I do this. So
Yeah.
if I put out a funny post, the first thing I do is I make that post public. There's
Yep.
nothing personal in it. There's nothing that's going to harm me. I'm not worried. I make it public because one, if I make it public, that means anyone can share it.
Mhm.
If a post is not public, there is no share button. A lot of people don't realize that. You only get a
Right.
share button when a post is public.
Mhm.
So we make the post public because I know for a fact a few of my friends are going to share that post. And I need them to share it because when they share it, the post is still linked to me.
Yep.
So when they share it onto their timeline, their friends start to see it. Their friends then comment, and the algorithm rewards me because I'm the
Yep.
one who posted it in the first place. Okay.
Yep.
So I make it public. That's the first thing I do. And then what I'm doing at that point is watching my numbers. What you're going to notice under every post, it'll have an insights tab. It'll say, see your insights. And you're going to pay attention to these numbers. And you're going to notice that on the funny posts, I know you guys can't see me, but I am 56. So basically grew up in the 80s, right? 70s and 80s.
Mm-hmm.
So I look for funny things from back then because most of my audience is the same age demographic and I know they can relate.
Yeah.
So they're going to engage because they see something. They're like, oh my God, I remember that, whatever it is, it gets them excited, right?
Right.
So
if
take
you
advantage.
drink out of a garden hose, if
Exactly.
you push an 8-track into the player, if you blew into a Nintendo cartridge, right? Any of those, right?
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
Okay, because that means, so know your audience, know what it is that they can relate to, because all I need them to do is to engage on that post. Okay, that's all I need them to do. So while this is happening, you're doing this something every day leading up to the Friday. So I do the first thing, the funny joke or whatever visual. And then Tuesday, I might do something to give them a little bit about me. So get a picture of myself because everyone will stop on a picture of you. That's what we do, right? And if anything, we react. We may not comment, but we react. So now I might come up with something that's also going to generate some engagement. So my key or my goal here, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, is to come up with content that will generate engagement, fun content, motivational, something to do with me. Okay, so that's your first thing that you're doing. The reason you're doing that is because if you can keep your engagement going all week, when you go to put your post out, that selling post on Friday, the one to say, woohoo, Tupperware's offering, hostesses 50% in free product. Well, when I go to post that, because the algorithms have literally been going all week, they're going to push my selling post into more news feeds. Okay. Because the algorithms are working for me that week. Okay. And even if you had to do it in a 48-hour window, it still works. Okay. It's getting that. If you go, I only have 2 days and I got to do my post. Well, I better, today and tomorrow's got to be something funny. Just has to be. It's the only way I can generate engagement. Okay. That's the first thing you're doing. The second thing you're doing, and this is my most favorite tip, and you're already doing it, but I'm going to give you a little twist to it. Okay. Ooh. Algorithms. The way algorithms work, and this is literally any social media platform, so you can guide it through that. The way they work is they connect you with the people who you're engaging with and who's engaging with you. That's how it works. Right. If you don't do any of that or people aren't engaging with you, they will send or push your posts out organically to reach a small number of people. Very small percentage. On a personal, it's a high percentage, just so you know. On a business page, it's worth about 1% organic reach. It's tiny. Horrible, right?
It's
horrible.
Tiny. Yeah.
So on a personal, we know that the algorithms are already in our favor just because it's a personal timeline. Having said that, I'm not really sure how things will change now that we're flipping into professional page. But right now, my numbers seem to be great. So I'm very happy with the way the algorithms are working right now on my personal.
Yeah. Mine has been in the professional mode for probably about 18 months now, if not a little bit longer than that. And I would say it is still getting massive engagement, massive,
love it,
by thousands of percent better than what my business page is getting. Like the people who go interact with Badass Direct Sales Mastery versus those who interact with Jennie Bellinger is tiny. Like I was just looking through my Badass page yesterday, scrolling through to see what was there and what kind of stuff was happening. I was the only person liking my own stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like,
It's
yeah,
tough.
that's pretty
Yeah.
typical. That
Yeah.
sounds about right.
Right. And it's true. And that's a good point to bring up for your listeners to know that they're not alone. That is actually so common. People just don't generate engagement on a business page. And I mean, there's work, you can get it to happen, but there's work to be done to get that engagement happening. But
Yeah.
on a personal, easy peasy.
Yeah.
Algorithms are just naturally in your favor organically. So you're already reaching a large chunk anyways, right? Okay, so if the algorithm says, okay, if Tammy's communicating with, let's say my mom, okay, this is how I'm going to bring people, family and business into this. So if I engage regularly with my mom and she's engaging regularly with me, yes, I will see her content in my feed. Now, here's the thing. I have been using Facebook for business right from the get-go. I never used it from a personal standpoint. Now, having said that, I mean, yes, my personal went into it, but I went into that knowing I was using it from a business perspective. So right now, everyone that's gone in and used it from a from a personal standpoint with family and friends, that's mostly what they're seeing in their feed. And now they're trying to build their business and they're like, well, who's even seeing my content? Because it's just family, right? So you need to change up your news feed. And the only way that can happen is being strategic with how you are engaging and who you're engaging with. Because when you do this little trick I'm going to give you, what it does is it gets the algorithms connecting you with each other. And the more you connect with each other, what's going to happen within probably a week, if you do this on a daily basis, probably within a week, you will start to see whoever you're strategically engaging with, their content in your feed. Now, when that happens, that means they're seeing your content in their feed. So this is a huge win-win. This is how I can go, okay, so this is the second part of what you're doing if I know on Friday I'm going to make my Tupperware announcement, besides the strategic posts that I'm putting out. Now what I'm doing is I'm going to make a list of people that are on my friends list. You decide how many people you want to tackle. 5 to 10 is sufficient, but if you want to go 20, 25 people, but you want to make a list of those people. Who are the people that are potential hostesses? That's the list you want to make. Then what you're going to do starting on that Monday and every day of that week, you are specifically going to their timeline. You are looking for their most recent post. And instead of just engaging, so let's say I do a post to announce my son getting married. Okay, what do? We either react or we comment with congrats. When we comment with congrats, the person that posted, okay, they're just going to respond with a reaction. They're just going to like your congrats. Doesn't do much for you from an algorithm standpoint. So instead, comment with a question.
Yes.
It's so simple, so simple. So now I'm going to go, congrats. Where are they getting married, or have they picked the date, or what can I ask them specifically? Or let's say it's a photo of the two of them. Oh my God, I love this photo. Congrats. Where was the photo taken? Ask a question. By asking a question, I force you to answer me. And if I keep doing that back and forth every day, I come to your profile, I do another question, you've got to engage with me. Every time I do that, the algorithms are buzzing and they're going, oh my God, like these two, they're like having conversations. Okay, time to push each other's content into each other's feed. And voila. So you can literally make multiple lists of people based on what you're trying to sell. And plan it, right? A week at a time. What am I working on this week? All right. Who am I targeting this week? Who am I engaging with this week? Who am I going to make sure is seeing my content next week? Who's on my list this week? It could be the same people. It could be a new list. What are you trying to accomplish? If I was looking to get more interviews, having an opportunity to have more podcast interviews, then my job over the next week, because I decide I'm going to write a post saying that I'm looking for this opportunity. Well, my job over the next week is I better go through my friends list and find out who runs podcasts. And then I'm going to go to their page, personal profile every single day, and I'm going to engage and ask a question every single time, because by Friday, they will start seeing my posts. And I know that I'm doing a selling post and saying, hey, and now all of a sudden I get a message saying, oh, I saw your post. I didn't know you like doing podcast interviews. Would you love to be a guest? Oh,
love that. That is so smart, because I think one of the things that a lot of people are doing is the birthday method, right? They're posting on somebody's birthday, but so are 382 other people.
Exactly.
Right. And so I don't know how much Facebook really leverages that as part of the algorithm or not.
They do count it. They do count it, but I don't feel it's enough. I do the birthday every single day. That's just agreed. But the best way is just by asking a question. Such a simple little task that we don't even think about.
I know. And it's something that I've said for a long time is, a lot of people don't seem to know how to have a conversation online.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's just like when you have a conversation in person.
We'll stand in a grocery lineup and chat with people we don't even know.
Right.
And then we get scared online.
Well, and I think it's because we unconsciously know the method for keeping a conversation going in person. And people just haven't generalized it to say, oh, I bet that same methodology, which they haven't thought about, would work online. And for those of us who, and I'm not trying, like, okay, I'm going to say it, pun intended. We're going to get meta about meta.
Yes.
How to keep that conversation going, because it really should be, a conversation and a relationship building.
Absolutely.
Piece.
Every time.
Yeah, because I just had a conversation with a coaching client today talking about, because he was feeling rather overwhelmed with the idea of managing, building his business through in-person networking, but then also doing social media, because social media was not a part of his life for decades and decades. And he was like, how am I going to do this? And I was like, well, I can tell you the in-person part, but my big belief is that anything you do on social media you should treat it as like icing on a cake, right? It should be in addition to anything you're doing in person or virtual networking, things like that, because you don't have control over what Facebook shows or doesn't show, what Instagram is going to do or not do, what LinkedIn is going to show or not show. Like, you don't have control over that. Think of it as just, billboards that people are carrying around in their pocket.
Right. Yeah. And I think it's really understanding the marketing side of things, because Facebook is so full of selling now. Yeah. It's a massive platform. So how can I stand out, especially in direct sales? Let's be honest, right? In the direct sales industry, your competition is massive and everybody's using the same content. If I'm a Tupperware rep, most Tupperware reps, most people in direct sales are using whatever content the company is supplying. Well, that means that your graphics and your written content is identical to everyone else in Tupperware. And when people are searching Facebook, for example, how do you stand out? What makes you different? Because you're just going to blend in with the 1,000 other Tupperware reps who are doing the exact same thing.
Yeah.
So start thinking about your own brand. Who are you? Why are you even selling Tupperware? What got you in the industry? What is it that, showcase it? My girlfriend, hers is really funny. She doesn't cook and she used to sell Pampered Chef. And her tagline was, well, my husband's the chef, I get pampered. And that was kind of her tagline, right? So she started
brilliant marketing.
Yeah. So then she started to incorporate that into her marketing, which she then stands out from all the other Pampered Chef reps. So who are you? Why are you doing this business? How can I bring more of me into my posts? If I need to sell a product, I don't need to use, unless the company has specific policies and procedures. Okay, check those, please. But if I
Yeah.
don't have to use the branded graphics that Tupperware is giving me, then I'm taking a picture of me with the product.
Mm-hmm.
Right now it's me, and you're going to stop as you're scrolling through your feed, you see a picture of me, you're going to stop. So at least I get you to stop. Then you're going to see what's in the picture. You'll then decide if you want to read the first line of my written post. So it's like a process I'm working through. Here's another trick. Okay. Because I said algorithms, right?
Yeah.
It's the key. So when you get people who react to a post, that counts as engagement, when people comment, when they share, but also when they click. And what that means is if I put up more than one image, they're going to click, and most people click on one image anyways. But if I put up 2 images, they're going to click to open the post so they can get to the next image. That counts as 2 clicks. Right? Check this out. If I write a post that ultimately the written content generates a see more button, that counts as a click when they click on see more. It counts as a click. So the algorithm keeps giving you more reach because of the clicks. So when you're writing a post, minimum 6 lines of content, minimum 6 lines of content will generate a see more. And so now I get a click on that. I put up 2 images. I get 2 clicks there. And then they like it. There's my third. That'll be my 4th engagement point. If they comment, now I just got 5 engagement points from one person.
Oh, that is brilliant. All right, y'all. You better start paying attention to Jennie Bellinger's feed, because I'm telling you right now, Mama is going to start putting more pictures. Now, I was already putting pictures, but I don't think in all cases have I been doing multiple pictures. Yeah. So, for example, Saturday night. Yeah. So, for example, Saturday night, my kids and I, my fiance, and a couple of friends play Dungeons and Dragons. And I took a picture when our Dungeons and Dragons party was on the verge of death. And I'm like, we're all smiling here, but our characters are literally dying, y'all. And, but it was a single picture, and I could have very easily included some other pictures in there, to be like, and here's the food we were eating, and here's the blah, blah, blah. Because it was a whole party. It was a whole thing, right?
Exactly.
So it's just got me thinking about those things that I can put on there. But I will say that on the text side of things, I have been writing some longer posts that include some sort of hook at the beginning to get to get people's interest from the start. But then I'll continue with a story that people want to read, and again,
potential call to action at the end, potentially, right?
Exactly. And sometimes the call to action is, do you have a story like this, or do you have a family member? Last week at the time of this recording, last week was the 9th anniversary of my aunt passing away. So I put a post up, and because she and I were very, very close, and I told the story, and there were a lot of people who engaged in that. And I wasn't doing it because of content. This was real life. This was, and I want people to understand that when we're doing things like this, not every post is a manipulation. Not every post is. Sometimes we're just putting stuff out there because it's part of who we are. And, just FYI, y'all, not every post has to have full, it's a content calendar, and it's a this and sometimes I will mess with my own content calendar by throwing stuff in there because I got inspired by, or, oh my gosh, this thing just happened in the network marketing world. I better put a post about it,
Yeah, it's only, your content calendar really is your main guideline.
Is it?
every single day when you look at it, you make the decision if you're going to veer from it or not. And because it can be
Gotcha.
based on what's going on. And you're right. Like I still put out stuff about me personally. The
Yeah.
difference is that content doesn't go out publicly. So I leave that set to friends, the privacy
Oh,
setting.
okay.
And then the stuff the funny stuff, that's the stuff I'm putting up publicly because I want to get the shares. But otherwise, yeah, I put out stuff about me on a personal level. Absolutely. I just restrict who's seeing it in that regard.
Oh, see,
Um,
I have everything public with the
oh,
exception of if my kids are in a picture
yeah.
or if
Be
my kids are
careful.
tagged in it, then it's just for friends only.
Oh.
And because I do want people when they go to look for me to be able to see I'm a whole ass person.
I love it. I love it.
Because
Yeah.
my fear is if I only ever put out the business posts or things like that as public, then they're going to go and they're going to go, oh, she's going to sell me shit all day long. Right.
Yeah, fair enough.
So I do try and, I have days where I'll post 5 times in a day and I have other times where I won't post for 3 days in a row because
exactly. I'm the same.
So I'm hoping there's enough balance given that I am getting engagement on the stuff that I want engagement on and I'm getting some interaction. Now I'm curious about I have 2 things that I want to ask you about. One of them being, so I'm part of a networking group. My networking group has a messenger chat.
Yes.
And in there, sometimes what we'll do, now here's the thing. So we're all part of different companies.
Okay,
right?
fair enough.
Right. So this is not a forced engagement issue because I know in the past, Facebook had an issue with forced engagement, which is when a bunch of people who are, I'm just going to use the example you've been using, all the people who are listed as Tupperware reps are going and commenting on each other's stuff.
Yeah.
And then
no
Facebook
benefit.
goes, no, we know what you're doing. Wrong.
No, and it just doesn't even benefit you anyways.
When there's a bunch of us who are in different companies, different industries, things like that, can we go share our post into that group and say, hey guys, I could really use some engagement interaction on this post.
Absolutely. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
That's beneficial. Where it's not beneficial is when you're in the same company. Because you're each doing that. What you're doing is taking and promoting another Tupperware rep.
Yeah.
In essence. Because if I go and comment, if I'm in Tupperware and I go comment on another Tupperware's content that is public, there's a potential that a post is going to go out into my friend's news feed that says that I commented on another Tupperware rep's post. I'm potentially driving my friends to that Tupperware person.
Ooh, yeah.
Zero benefit. Zero benefit.
Right.
If you want to really support each other, yes, a group of people who are all in different businesses. And we did this. Oh my God, we used to do this right back when we first started, when we got going with groups. And we would actually develop a group and we would all be in the same group. We didn't do it through a messenger chat because they weren't, well, I don't know if you could do group back then, but we would create a group. And each day we would go in there and tell them which post on our business page we wanted more visibility on. And each one of us would then go and support that person by commenting or sharing it. So it works great as long as you're not competing against each other. And that was the biggest mistake. People got all excited about that thinking, oh, I can drive traffic, get the algorithms working if we just go and help each other out. Well, yeah, but you're in the same business. So you're not helping each other out at all. You're driving traffic away from you. Yeah.
So good to know. So maybe, just maybe, y'all, you should take a look at Badass Direct Sales Moms group because maybe, just maybe, that's a place where we could help each other out. I'm just saying, if you're looking for more engagement, because we got a bunch of people on a bunch of different companies, just wink, wink, nod, nod. I'm just saying. The second question I have for you then is about, and we'll wrap things up because I know we've already been talking about this quite a while and I feel like I could talk to you more. So we may have to bring you back. Forever. Is around stories and reel.
All right.
What do we have time to talk about? Pick one.
Let's
go down that rabbit hole.
Actually, both. So let me tell you this. From an Instagram standpoint, if you are not doing reels, you're totally missing out on the game. The algorithms are pushing reels. That's just the way it is. So from an Instagram standpoint, please do those. That should be your main part of your marketing plan.
Yeah.
And then you want to do stories. That's the sequence, reels, stories, and then posts. So make sure you're doing that. Algorithms are going to be in your favor. They're really going to work for you on
Yeah.
Instagram.
Okay.
Facebook, such a different perspective. So I've had different business owners testing out the different features.
Mhm.
We know that when we do reels, we get visibility, but we don't generate any engagement. Our
Right.
engagement numbers are too low. So then the algorithms aren't really doing much for us in that regard. They're doing the initial organic push, which they're
Mhm.
giving you high priority on it because it's treated as a number one algorithm feature. So they're pushing you out organically, but because you're not generating any engagement, it doesn't go any further. You can't keep
Right.
that algorithm growing. So I choose not to do reels. Okay. I'm a
Okay.
simple girl. I'm a simple girl. I'll do posts and videos is what I tend to stick with. I don't want to overwhelm myself neither. If I have to do too much work, I'm not going to do it. Plain and
Truth.
simple.
That's
I'm
fair.
being honest with you guys, right?
Mhm.
Now, stories. Problem with stories is they only last 24 hours. So you're
Yep.
only getting algorithms working in your favor in a 24-hour period.
Mhm.
And really, stories just need to be fun, relaxed, personal, behind the scene kind of thing. Don't be promoting stuff because that's
Yeah.
gone in 24 hours. The post is gone. If I need to sell something or I need to promote something, I'm not going to do it in a story. What I will do is create the post and share it into stories. That way I still have the original post and I get
Okay.
24 hours on stories at the same time. It's exactly what I do in Instagram. Once
Done.
I generate the post, I just go back in and share it into stories. So at least I don't lose that selling post that I was trying to do. So I think that you have to decide how much work you want to put into this.
Sure.
Right? So, yes, Reels will help you organically in the front end, but not in the back end.
Okay.
Stories are limited. They should be more just relaxed, personal, quick little
Mhm.
updates, short and sweet. And then videos, they'll always get you more reach than a regular post
Right.
because Facebook likes video. So if you're
Mhm.
comfortable doing video, live gets you number one reach, then a recorded video if you're wanting to know the sequence of that.
That's so interesting because my experience has been when I do a live, I maybe get,
Oh, I know,
I
right?
don't know, 5 or 6 people who show up live.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But if I put out a reel, I might get
Right.
16, 17, 18 reactions on a moderate post. My most interacted reel, or I shouldn't say post, sorry, reel. My most interacted with reel had thousands of views and
Mm-hmm.
had a couple hundred comments because I had created the video on TikTok and duetted with somebody
Right.
and then was, just cross post. I didn't cross
Yep.
post. I saved it to my phone and
And
then
then
posted it to
manually.
Facebook and got a bunch of interactions from a bunch of people I didn't know.
Yeah.
But there were a few people who I did know who were like, oh, this is really good content because this guy, he had a really good point. So it was very interesting to see. It's interesting for me that you would say that they consider live first,
Mm-hmm.
but I get so little engagement during the live. Now,
During the live.
after the live, I will, because I don't have it delete. I tell it to keep
Oh, yeah.
the live forever. Because I'm like,
Absolutely.
that's content,
Yeah.
baby. Why would I delete
Yeah.
that?
I
But
know.
it defaults to 30 days. So I do get more interaction over the next few hours
Yeah.
on the live. And so people will comment, but their features for trying to react or comment back on a comment is a little weird sometimes. So I
Yeah.
think they're still trying
I
to
know it
figure out
drives me a
the
little bit
technology
insane.
on that. So,
Right.
oh my gosh. Well,
The
Tammy,
bonus with,
oh yeah,
sorry,
go ahead.
just the bonus with lives is
Mhm.
that Facebook sends a notification to your friends and
Yeah,
followers when you've gone live. So
right.
even if they miss the live, the notification is still sitting there. So that's what drives our
Oh,
traffic back to us after the live is done because people click on it and they get to see the replay. So keep
gotcha.
that in mind, right? That's the only time we get, well, it's defaulted for them to notify when you go live. There is other things that we get notified about, but not defaulted. They're random, but that is something that is standard. So take advantage. If you're comfortable going live, go live.
Yeah. I do. And I try to make sure that anytime I do go live, because I don't go crazy with it. It's not like I'm going live every day. I mean, I maybe go live once a month, maybe twice a month. I mean, it's not super often, but when I do, I make sure I have a really interesting description of the live that people are going to at least be like, oh, what is that Jennie doing now?
Right. Because don't do a live for the sake of doing a live. That's the other, I know we got to finish up, but don't do it, even what you're writing and stuff. Like, don't do it for the sake of doing it. There should always be, like, you have to have a plan, but at the same time, there are opportunities where you're just going to sprinkle in some fun stuff. But what I mean is that, you kind of have to, you got to know what's coming. You got to, if you're a business builder, you can't just each day sit there and look at your social media and go, what should I post today? And not really know. There's got to be some sort of plan. And I mean, you may not come up with what am I posting for the next 5 days, but maybe 3 days, something. And how do I get my message out there without people thinking I'm selling all the time? Right. Yeah. That's the other issue. So there's a lot you can do to you can be genuine through this whole process, but you can be strategic at the same time.
Yeah, no, I think that's really important, is to put some intentionality. And like you said, I love that you said, even if you do it a week at a time, right? And just getting that out there a little bit at a time, rather than, because I know some people are like, do a 30-day plan. And I'm like, girlfriend, I don't know what I'm eating for dinner tomorrow.
I know. I do 30-day content for some of my clients, about 5 of them, which is what I'm working on this week because it's month end. And a week at the most for me is how I would, I tend to work. A month in advance is tough. It's tough.
Yeah, that's a lot to do.
Yeah.
All right. Tammy, one of the cool things that you and I talked about before we hit record was that for those who are part of the Badass crew who have questions after listening to this, and they're really wanting to just say, I have this one burning question. And guys, I'm going to say this question should be one that you're like, but Jennie didn't ask this one thing, and it's what I really, 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 really want to know. So, Tammy, you offered the opportunity for the Badass crew to shoot you an email.
Yep.
And set up a time to have a 15-minute ask me your burning questions. You called it a pick my brain session.
Yeah.
But it's like, let's be respectful, people, because she's got a business of her own to run. But if there's one burning question that you have that I didn't ask Tammy and she didn't answer in her plethora of experiences and stories that she shared here, then I want you to send her an email, and make sure you start with gratitude. Let her know you heard her here on the show. Thank you for sharing your brilliance. Here's the one question I have. Can we get together? So, Tammy, what is your email?
Tammy at TammyHudgin.com. HUDGIN as in Norman. I'm easy to find. Just type my name in Google. You'll find me. Trust me.
Perfect. Well, and of course, my Badass crew already knows we've got your email linked directly in the show notes right underneath your picture here. For those, if this happens to be the very first time you're ever listening to the Badass Direct Sales Mastery podcast, and you're like, show notes, what are those? Just click on the episode on your phone, or if you're on YouTube, just scroll under the video. It's right there. We've got all the information, including Tammy's email, so that you can send your burning question to Tammy. And based on the conversation that we have so much more to discuss, we're going to be bringing Tammy back at some point. Maybe we'll make this a quarterly conversation, people.
I love it.
Here's some Facebook tips from Tammy Hudgin. So, Tammy, thank you so much. It has been a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me. I really did enjoy it. I can't wait till the next one.
Oh my gosh. Absolutely.
Awesome.
And Badass crew, you know how this goes. Stay tuned, because there's another badass episode on its way.
Thanks for listening to the Badass Direct Sales Mastery Podcast with your direct sales dom, Jennie Bellinger. Why are you waiting to go to badassdirectsalesmastery.com? Don't make the dom get her whip. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to share it with another rock star that you know in direct sales after you subscribe to the podcast so you won't miss any future episodes. You can also check out the show notes for links and any contact information mentioned in today's episode. We'll see you next time.